Today we are going over Love on the Spectrum, episode 3 of season 2. So please stick around. Hi friends, my name is Claire and this is my channel, Woodshed Theory. Here, I make content about what it is like to live as an adult on the autism spectrum and whatever else feels good to me. So if that sounds good to you, or if you're feeling particularly gracious today, and I hope that you are, please go ahead and click the subscribe button, ring the bell. I almost forgot to mention that I put out videos a few times a week, so click the like and the share. The more of the show that I watch, I will tell you my feelings on it. It's hard to watch. And I know it's because it's watching people dating, which for me is awkward anyway. But watching neurodiverse people dating is like looking at myself in the mirror. I relate to so many different feelings and thoughts, and I've done a lot of the things that they're going through. I've done those things. I've felt those feelings. I've acted those ways. So it is not easy for me to watch. So 3 done, 4 to go. All right, we start off with Connor because he's the first one in this episode again. We left off right before he gets a call from the speed dating lady. So he's talking to his family and he gets the call and it seems super set up to me, but they have to have it on camera, I guess. Anyway, so he gets the call from the lady. He's matched with his friend Sasha at speed dating. So that's really exciting. The only little criticism that I have is the lady who was talking to him from speed dating kind of sounded like she was talking to him like he was a child a bit. And I don't think that that was necessary. Like, oh yes, you got matched, congratulations. I'm not trying to mock her or anything. And I'm sure she was just trying to be nice. But you don't need to talk to him like he's a baby. My other thoughts about this whole situation was shout out to Connor's family. Your mother, sister, stepdad seem super supportive. They really are great at talking him through his emotions. And I don't think that they were trying to infantilize him at any point. So I really appreciated that. I think it walks a fine line, and that's something that we should be aware of. Neurodiverse people, neurotypical people need to be careful of that, but I thought that his family did a really good job with that. He's obviously a little bit nervous about what's going to happen with the whole Sasha thing. This is his first experience dating. There's a lot of emotions. After a week of waiting, they go on a date. He and Sasha go on a date. It was pretty awkward. Oh, I wanted to talk about that. So he talks to his family about, is this going to work out? What's going to happen? Before he goes on the date with Sasha, he's talking to his mother and he says, this is going to be seen by a lot of people. I am so glad that they left this in here because it had not been clear to me or any of us watching if Connor, how aware Connor was about this being seen by a lot of people. Maybe it was apparent to other people, but he had not mentioned that, hey, this is kind of making me nervous because it's on a nationally syndicated, a nationally internationally seen TV show. And now we see that he does know that. So I'm so grateful that he is aware that his first date is going to be seen by a lot of people. And he's extra nervous because of that. Because, yeah, holy cow. I couldn't do it, Connor. I couldn't have my first date, whoever it was, seen by a million people. That's really scary. So I'm glad that he pointed that out, because not pointing it out would have told me he wasn't really aware of that. And I'm glad that they talked about it. You know, he talks about being nervous about what if this doesn't work out. Also, it's seen by a lot of people. This is nerve-wracking. Yeah, what a brave guy, because I don't think I'd be able to handle it. Anyway, how does the date go? It seems like it goes fine. I wouldn't say that there is a very natural flow of conversation back and forth, but they're both really nervous. Connor does his absolute best to have a conversation with Sasha, and she is able to just explain to him that she's nervous, and that might be why she's not opening up or talking as much. But she seems happy to walk around with him and just listen to him talk, and he does a good job keeping up at the conversation. And at the end, he says that he's not sure. At the end, she says that she'd like to go on another date. He said he's not sure yet. Maybe he needs a little bit more time. I hope that it goes well for him, and that if he feels like he wants to hang out with her again, just in a casual way, a romantic way, whatever, that he feels confident enough to do that, because I think he did a great job on the date. What am I supposed to say? Didn't? For a first date ever, having to talk in front of a camera like that, I think he's, smashed it. Good job. Good job, Connor, on your first date ever. Dating is awkward anyway, and then throw in the fact that it's being filmed on TV and you have the pressure of everybody in the world watching you. Good job. Next, Tanner. Tanner is going on his first date, and we get to meet Tanner's mother. She seems really nice. She seems really supportive. I loved what she said about the first few years of Tanner's life, trying to figure out how she was going to help him by fixing him, basically, and realizing eventually that instead of doing that, how about support him in the way he needs to be supportive, and let him grow and succeed in that way. And I think that is the way to support an autistic person. So way to go, Tanner's mom. It looks like you did well by him, and he's got his own life and he's doing well. Seems like you did a great job to me. Oh, I also loved that in this episode, Tanner is supposed to go on a date to the zoo with this girl, and his mom, before they leave, says, "Hey, just so you know, the weather has been bad, so it might have to be a lunch date and not a zoo date." And I thought that was very kind of her to prep him for a change that might be coming up in the day, considering autistic people struggle with making changes and plans. Tanner goes on a date with Kate. She seems like a lovely girl. I think Tanner did a great job. He had never been on a date before. It is apparent to me that he's a very charismatic person. He loves to talk and have a conversation. And I think from the training that he had with the dating coach, he did a really good job having a conversation and passing it back and forth. Was it intense? Yeah, it was intense. I didn't know how Kate was going to do with the intensity where he's like, "Do you like this? I like this. Here's what I like." Lists it out. Yeah, that was pretty intense. But I think that with the amount of dating coaching that Tanner got, just doing the one session, I thought that he did a great job. I thought that actually he followed the directions of how to do the date to a T. If anything, if he is able to kind of back off in the future and not be so stringent to the rules of dating, that might even benefit him in the future. But the fact that he was able to go in there on a first date, follow all of the instructions that he was given on how to do a first date well. He was polite. He was kind. He took turns in conversation. He, at the end of the date, told his date what he enjoyed about the date. He talked about going on a date again with her. So yeah, Tanner, great job on your first date. You brought flowers. Yeah, I thought Tanner did a great job on his first date. My only concern was, how is Kate going to take it? Because it was a little bit intense. I don't think anyone could disagree with me on that. He seemed to be very excited And when autistic people are excited, we tend to up the intensity a bit. But she said that she really felt like the date went well and she really enjoyed herself and she liked it. And they both seem to be what each other are looking for. You can't really tell after a first date if it's like a slam dunk or whatever, but it seemed like the date went really well and that Kate enjoyed herself and that Tanner enjoyed himself. And I hope that they'll go on another date this season and we'll see if something can grow. I thought that the date went really well. Good job, guys. Good job on your first dates. James didn't have the biggest part in the episode. He basically just sat down with his parents and talked about how the date went with Jasmine, who, if you remember from last episode, he went on a date. Everything seemed to be going well. She had reached out to him because she had seen him on the show, was interested in him, thought that they had a lot in common. She thought that they had a lot of common and they could be a good match. They seem like they were a good match. Basically, she mentioned kids on the first date casually. I think that there was a little bit of pressure, like, what do you want for your future? What does your future look like? So I felt like it came up pretty casually. She mentioned, she wants maybe a family in the future. And that kind of shut things down for James because it's not something that he's interested in. So, he just talked about that with his parents. Again, I mentioned this last time. I don't know that I would have cut things off so quickly after a first date, saying like, oh, you don't want kids, so let's just be friends from here. He mentioned that was his first time he ever had to do that. I think I would have given it a little bit more time, even though she was the one who brought it up on the date. It's just a weird thing to talk about on the first date. But I also know sometimes it just comes up on the first date. It just makes it seem too serious for the first date, when it could just be, what kind of things do we like on the first date? But I also know, as an autistic person, I take everything too seriously. And even when I was dating, I was the same way. Like, what are you looking for? Who is that person? Am I that person? No. Moving on. I am just cheering for James this season and hoping that something good happens for him and that he finds a person that will be a good fit for him. Abby and David. Nothing crazy happens in this episode other than they start their safari. I did want to talk about them, though, because during the safari, first of all, they're so excited to be on the safari. They're all like seeing amazing things. David really helps Abby to be patient. She continues to bring up, are we going to see lions today? Even as they're seeing other amazing things, she becomes hyper-focused on seeing the lions in the safari. I'm happy in a way that they showed this because hyper-focus can be a really positive thing about being on the autism spectrum, but then also don't miss what's right in front of you and not enjoy it because you only want to see the lions. I hope I'm making sense. Love Abby, love David, love their experience. I'm so glad he was able to tell her to be patient. We're going to see them, because it is really easy to not have an enjoyable time as somebody on the spectrum because you're so focused on the one thing and you're ignoring the other parts of the experience. I noticed that I've done that in my life, and it's just something that I noticed that was happening. At the end, they were like, hey, we're not going to see lions today. We're going to see them tomorrow. And she seemed to be really excited. But I'm so glad that she had David there to help her bring it back around to like, hey, we're in Africa. We're seeing other animals and they're great too. Then finally, our friend Danny. Danny is going on a date with her friend Jake in this episode. And beforehand, she has a hangout session with her friend Devin, and she talks to her aunt about the date. She seems like she's really into Jake. And what's interesting to me is it seems in my mind, from how Danny is describing Jake, she's already decided that he would be a good match and he hits all the boxes for her. Now she needs to find out if he's a good romantic match. So she's really talking to her aunt and her best friend about the kiss. Will we have romantic compatibility? And kind of moving past the, okay, well, he's checked all these other boxes. Now he's got to check this box. But then I was kind of happy because when she goes on the date with Jake, he's like, well, hold on. I'm not ready for any of that stuff right now. I just got out of a relationship where I was engaged to somebody and it didn't feel like the right thing and I left that relationship. I want to spend time with you and see if we're a good match before we get to any of that intimacy, relationship, romantic endeavors. Let's see if we have a good friendship, just hanging out, the two of us. If something grows out of that, then that's fine. And I think that really took Danny aback because it kind of slowed her down from her trajectory where she was like, okay, this one's a good fit. Let's see if he's a good fit romantically. I'm glad that this happened because as a person who has been through the dating process, I understand how, as an autistic person, it's easy to see things in like a checklist or in boxes, and having somebody say, hey, let's slow down and see if this is going to work out and this is going to be good for us isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I'm glad. I'm sure that we'll find out more about what's going on in the next episode, how the date ends and goes. I'm just glad that he's saying, hey, pump the brakes. Let's see how things go. I'm glad that that's happening. I hope that she handles that not as a rejection, but as a person who cares about her enough to say, let's see where this goes before we start making out. I don't know how else to say it. I do like her cute little gift of the big Hershey kiss where she said, I want to give you a big kiss. But I think it's just interesting because at the time she's like, do you want a big kiss? And he's like, no, I'm not really there yet. Before we go, I'm not really there. And she's like, holds out the candy and he's like, oh, okay. But that's kind of where we end the episode. So I don't exactly know how that's going to be received by him. Seemed like it was a bit of an awkward moment. Yeah, I wish Danny all the best. I think Jake could be good for her if that develops into something like that. But I also know that sometimes we feel like if there's not the immediate romantic connection, then it's not going to work. Relationships are so difficult and complicated. Like, what am I even saying? Like, what do I know about these people? I'm just trying to give my autistic perspective about what I'm watching. But this is just an edited version of somebody's date that I don't know. So they all seem to do a good job to me. Hope their relationships work out. I'll see you in the next one. I hope you have a good day. And if you have any comments or questions about how the series is going so far, let me know in the comments. Bye, guys.